Hello and welcome to the Inspiration Pop-Up today. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful start in the week. Hello, Bridget, to South Africa.
Hello.
So we are talking about my favorite subject today. As I always like it when you have the magic in it, or when you realize the magic in it, then it can change your life. So we are talking about define your values. We are asking you at home, do you know your values?
Yeah, exactly. Number one, do you know your values? And also, I think having just had a weekend, for people, maybe they had to make decisions around, within their family or within their relationship or within their career or, because I think very often weekends you have more time, and then time there's, sometimes there's more conflict. And I think values are so relevant to conflict, because if your values are aligned, there's less chance of conflict. And also it's easier for you to then assess what's important in your life. And if you're with somebody who doesn't align with your values, it could be very challenging to manage that dynamic friendship, relationship, whatever the situation, the dynamic between the two people.
Yeah. And what is the benefit if you know your values, if somebody is not really new in personal growth and so and is watching this the first time or not many times yet? So how would you say to someone who doesn't know his values how to define them?
So the first thing is, like, where do you spend your time? The time for me is a big thing. Like, I immerse myself in personal development, from studying it to going to courses, conferences. Like, I just immerse myself in it. So where do you spend your time? That's number one. So where do you spend your time?
I spend my free time in doing photographs and doing research about traveling. So for me, there's something I could spend for hours in it, and also personal growth, but it's even more cultural stuff. In organizing a new journey if I can, and if everybody has time to come with me, or if it's possible because of COVID. But I realize, I'm already reading travel books and all that. Where is my next journey?
So that's a big indicator of your values, is where you spend your time. The next one is, where do you spend your money? And I think that's also very big, because for myself, on body, mind, and soul, my well-being, I will spend a lot of money. But I'm not going to spend money on a car, and I'm not going to spend money on an expensive night out, or on a pair of, I don't know, clothes or shoes, or so where are you going to spend money? That's a big indicator, because money's around what you value, because it's never the amount of money, but it's the value you see with it.
Interesting. And this is also indicates also what is the value, because traveling is not really a value, it's an activity. But if you ask the question, what should it give to you, or what does it give to you, and then you really feel into it. For me, it's freedom. It's the big value I realized, and inspiration, because I like to have other people around me. But also, if you spend a lot of money for going out to have a wonderful meal, then perhaps your value is enjoying, to enjoy stuff, to really have beauty in things. So there you get closer to it. If you ask yourself the question, what does it give to you, what you're doing?
Yeah, but I think for this, it's more around when you're looking at the things of, like, what it is you value. You would say, okay, so somebody will say, oh, there's a pot you can buy, which is, I don't know, a few thousand euros or rands, or whatever the case is. Now, if you're someone who values cooking and being in the kitchen, that would be nothing. I don't ever do, cooking's not my thing. I've got zero interest in cooking. So for me, I'm going to look at that pot and go, that's expensive. The same with travel. Someone else might go, no, too expensive to go on a plane, to stay in an Airbnb, to get a guest house, hotel, whatever. Someone who doesn't value traveling will say it's expensive. Whereas if you value traveling, you'll say, no, it's what I value. So that's the understanding about the money with the value.
Yeah, but as well as if you say several times yes for like, where do you spend your time, where do you spend your money, and I say always traveling, entertainment, um yeah, and good meals. So my values are inspiration. Entertainment is also like something like inspiration or variety, no? And also freedom to enjoy this. Yeah, so you can always find under it a pattern. It's not always obvious, so sometimes it needs a coach or a good friend who is a bit like having a bird perspective to see it. But these are all good indicators. What is another indicator for a good value?
So the other thing for me would be around conversations. Like when you get together with friends, or people, like what do you actually talk about? I was at a dinner or lunch rather on Saturday with a whole bunch of people. And if I look at the conversations, a lot of those people have got kids. Kids have, well, they're not kids because they're 21 and, some got younger. So a lot of them were talking about kids and how they bring up kids. And, so what do you talk about when you get together with other people, so the conversation. So what kind of conversations do you have with people?
About destinations, about also like, also about things that connects people. So connection is for me apparently also a big value, because I like to be surrounded with people who I really like and who inspire me. So being alone is something for me that's not very interesting, even if sometimes you need it, that's for sure. But I really, value other people and like to be inspired by them. So it's, another good indicator. And you?
So mine's very much around, it's on a level of deeper understanding of life and spirituality and flow and universe and signs and the bigger picture. And I'm also mindful of that because I've got a lot of friends who are very, very religious, whether they are Muslim, whether they're Christian, whether they are Jehovah's, but they're very religious. But what's interesting about that is it actually connects us, because I've got a very strong spiritual belief. So they've got their beliefs, but we have a belief. Yes. So that actually makes us closer than if some of us were atheists and some of us weren't in a strange way. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what I talk about is acceptance and non-judgment and
And as we were talking several times already about values, because they are so strong in your life, and sometimes if you don't really bring them on the surface, you sometimes don't know why you're acting like this, or why something is bringing you up or whatever. And also if you're not happy in your job anymore, so it's because it's not aligning to your values. And that was for me a really big eye-opener when I realized that, like, if you see it like a net that you can lay over all your activities, what you're doing, and if you're not feeling well in your relationship or in your job, it can be that your values are not aligned, and that you have a kind of a resistance and you don't know why. And so check your values, and then you feel better, and then you can perhaps just shift 1 degree to the left or to the right, and it gets better to, or it aligns more to your values. And then even if it's the same job, it feels better. So see the value in your values, and if you don't see them, just ask us. We are happy to help, because Bridget is the master of finding out your values, that I can tell you.
Yeah, well, actually, and you're also, I think between the two of us, we would love to work with people who are wanting to understand themselves better.
Yeah, that's right. And so we will see you next Monday, and perhaps you can put your values under the video, and we're happy to help. See you next week.